Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. It is so good to see so many of you all in the chat. I feel like these socials just become really special because it's definitely like meeting with some of your really, really best friends to just kind of chat about what went on in your week and get ready for the next week, with just a really great atmosphere, listen to great music, and just here for really amazing inspiration. Do not know me. My name is Katie Gideon. I will be the on-camera facilitator for this social dialing in from Edinburgh, Scotland. And then I want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator, Bailey. He's here from Tennessee. We had the event yesterday as well, but I feel like we thoroughly enjoy doing these socials together just because we spend the dress rehearsal time talking about anything and everything but the social. So it's always a great way to get all caught up and all those things. But like I said, it is so wonderful to see all of our returning socialers in the chat. You all are amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would love to hear if anybody is new. I was like, do not be intimidated by the fact that a lot of us know each other. We love welcoming new people into the socials at all time. So you can share as much or as little in the chat as you want. If you want to share with the larger Silk and Sonder fam, just double check that everyone is set in the chat. It defaults to host and panelists, which comes to just myself and Bailey, which we love to answer those questions. But we know you probably want other people's perspective and inspiration. So just double check that you're sharing that with everyone. So we are glad that you're here if you're returning, and this has become your kind of accountability buddy sessions on Sunday. But we also love if this is new, if you haven't been here in a while, we like to welcome you back. We know that some people have had, great weeks, some not so great weeks, some have ones that they're really looking forward to, some would rather it be over. So we are glad that you've come exactly as you are, bringing your unique vitality to this social. And I'm ready to get started. And as always, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions, though we do like to talk about some of the pins we're using and stickers, all the really fun things that you can bring and add to your journal to make it uniquely yours. We usually will redirect your customer care inquiries to our team, hello@silkandsonder.com, just because while Bailey and I have some information, we do not have all of the specifics or inclusive around the individual accounts, but we will usually share some of that feedback with headquarters that you can provide here as well. And then, as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if you need to set up some of those mental barriers, those mental boundaries, because you're like, I don't want to touch this yet, I don't want to talk about this yet, I just want to be here to listen to the music, I just want to be here to get the wonderful support from the Sonder fam, or you're like, I want none of the distractions, I just want me and my journal and my writing utensil and knocking out and getting prepared for my week. But we are glad you are here. We are continuing into our week 4, which is going to be the kind of final mind map question when it comes to vitality, but we'll still be talking about the theme of vitality next week as well, just because of the way it falls, which I know sounds weird. But March vitality. So if you came to one of my monthly setups or like one of my earlier socials, came across this Katharine Hepburn quote with vitality. That's the pursuit of life, isn't it? Which completely overwhelmed me. I was I took it as that like lofty decision of like what is the answer to life, those type of pursuits. And I always like to have an answer for something. So it really intimidated me that it's like it can't be that simple of an answer, Katharine Hepburn. But through the past couple weeks, I have actually come to realize that it actually is a bit of a simple yes or no question. And really, what I personally have discovered on my path to vitality is just saying yes to more things. Saying yes to the things, no matter how silly, how childish, how nostalgic, even if you are the only person that's wanting to do this, it is saying yes to what is going to boost your energy, what is going to ignite that passion again, what is going to be something that adds to your spark to kind of bring that glitter back into your life. And so for me, it was embracing still some of my weird, quirky hobbies. I love to travel. I love to sightsee. And I had the really great opportunity with the main character club, who I've been doing quite a few things with, to go to see these amazing castles. But we all dressed up as, our favorite kind of, how would you storm a castle? And so they gave us swords and stuff to take pictures, because I was like, I could go and see these castles by myself and it would be super fun and I would really enjoy it. But how much fun was it that I said yes to this event, yes to dressing up. I put on my cutest little dress that fit the vibe, that kind of fit the like castle vibe. And so I also have great pictures of me at these castles that I wouldn't have got if I got by myself. So it is saying yes to the weird, quirky things that, when people ask, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm going to go storm some castles with 20 other ladies dressed as your medieval princesses, your hobbit fair, all of those great things, and having a wonderful time. So after this kind of exploration, I have come to the conclusion, dear Katharine Hepburn, that vitality, that the pursuit of life, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is the pursuit of life. Yes, it is finding those things that recharge you, that ignite the passion, that ignite that spark, and kind of bring it all back full circle. So that's kind of the action item of, I will continue to say yes to things. But I don't want to take it and say, like, saying no is a bad thing. Absolutely not. It is saying yes to the things that, even just that little thing is like, well, this sounds like something fun I should do. Yes. But saying no to things when you are tired and you need to refresh and rest, and it's not going to bring you the spark, that is not the antithesis of this. That is the decision that needs to make to continue to preserve that recharge and battery. So while I say yes to everything, saying no is just as powerful as yes, if that is what you need. So that is what we're doing. We are charging on with vitality. And so we're going to do our mind map. We're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection, and then we're going to do our weekly setup pages. So if you hadn't been here before, the mind map is something that is unique to the weekly setups. We will always do 4. We know that there's a little bit of an extra week this month for March, which means a fun bonus question next week. So I'm looking forward to that. But what I've really found that I've enjoyed with this particular mind map is that it's not printed in the journal. You can make it uniquely yours. So I got to bring out all the fun stickers and those things. But what's also really nice about it is if you miss a week, we always include the previous weeks, or you can usually watch it in the recap on the YouTube channel, or ask for the questions in the app. And this week, we're kind of, I feel like, again, kind of closing out vitality with practices to enhance vitality throughout the year. What habits and activities can help us cultivate more vitality on a daily basis? And I thought this was definitely a far more optimistic way of closing out the month. If you had come to some of my earlier ones, I did the week 1 and week 2 socials. Some of my answers were a little bit on the melancholy side. And I found it was just one of those kind of dualities of, I was just in a weird mental headspace, but this was one of those topics that I found far more deeper exploring, that I was kind of all over the place. And so that's what I really loved about the mind maps. Some of them are really nice. I feel like they're a little bit on that kind of surface. They're the feel good, feel better. And then there are ones like this one that I was like, ooh, I had to dive deep, and I was a little sad with what I found, but I was able to look at it, zoom out a little bit, be reflective on it, and kind of turn it in again to something that I would consider more my style on the optimism side. So here are some other questions that you can kind of embrace with this particular prompt. And so it's like, do you know your go-to activities that really spark your passion? If you've had a bad day, if you had a rough meeting, if you had a rough encounter, do you know what you could then kind of do to kind of turn that around, put you in that better mood, recharge that battery? And then maybe are those activities that you can do by yourself? Are those activities that you can do with others? Do you have activities that you can do by yourself or with others? The actual mind map prompt is that first question. It's that, what habits and activities can help cultivate more vitality daily? And then the next 3 questions are ones that I've added. So don't worry, I will go back and forth between the slides. So just let me know if you need to stay on a particular slide, and we'll do that for you. I always like to just deviate a little bit. That's what I do here. I like to color a little inside the lines, but a little outside the lines. And then it's also the how can you make more time for these? And so I do love the idea of, building routines, finding new routines, changing up all those things. But it's also those, are you already incorporating them? And that was something that I feel like we don't always celebrate. We're always looking to change something, make adjustments. But why don't we take a moment to celebrate how are you already incorporating in your day-to-day life those things that you like? If you have a long commute, are you embracing your audiobooks? Are you embracing your playlists? Are you making time to do all of those things already? I think it's another one of those things to kind of embrace the fact that it's like, I love doing this and I continue to make time for it. And I don't think we always celebrate that enough, or at least acknowledge it enough. And then as always, I'm a big, if you start to kind of understand your friends and your coworkers and those type of things, and then can you kind of help someone else find their vitality? Can you be someone else's sunshine? Can you kind of pass along that spark that maybe you have for the day to help them out? And so I love that idea of, can you help someone else find it? And I think that's another really, I think, good way to kind of practice to enhance the vitality. So for me in particular, it was kind of going aligned. That's how I came up with the idea of saying yes to things. It was yes to making time for my hobbies, yes to embracing the weird, quirky nostalgia that I love that makes me me. It's back to continuing to carve out time to read, continuing to carve out time to go to the theater, continuing to carve out time to hang out with my friends and family and check in with them. And so to me, it was a little bit more of that celebratory of, I am tired of apologizing for some of the weird things that I like, because it's like, instead of maybe apologizing and me making excuses for why I do it, why don't you listen to it and how it makes me uniquely me? Because I feel like then it all makes sense. If you start pulling in those pieces and everyone just stops with the like superficial judgment, but it's like, it all makes sense of why I like the things that I like. I can explain it to you, but I'm tired of saying, oh, well, I'm sorry, it's a little weird. No, no, no. I'm going to tell you, I liked it. It was fun. It was amazing. And it was really cool. You should try it. Something like that. So enough of me rambling on. I am going to play some music, but we are again looking for ways that we can continue to practice enhancing our vitality and saying yes to things. So we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I know it can always be a little overwhelming when the chat goes by so fast, but I always love to see the chat go by so fast because I feel like it means we've really hit a great topic, hit a really good point of discussion. That's what I love about these socials is there's just so much magic in being able to talk about these things where we may or may not be able to talk about it. And so I love that we can do all of those things and in these socials. And I think, again, it's magical because you all are amazing sources of inspiration, even to me, which is tapping into that, but also a little bit of like the subtle validation of like, I'm not out there all alone in the world, just doing my weird shenanigans. I have clearly found my people in the world. And so that's always super fun. And so that's what I really like about these mind maps. It kind of teaches you, has you kind of look at things a little bit with a slightly different perspective. But at the same time, I feel like some months they just are really, really powerful. And this was one of those months. Whereas some of the other ones, they're like a fun little cutesy little thing that I can answer and do. And I'm like, would love it. Great, great feature. But I even love it more when I can actually kind of learn and explore from it, especially with things that maybe I wasn't quite ready to touch. And so now we brought it back in, staring it down on the face. So we are going to now move to our rosebud thorn prompt. And again, please continue to have the conversations in the chat, share the previous prompts. I just have to be a little aware of time. So I just want to make sure that I keep moving. But again, if we need to go back a slide, let us know. But again, keep answering those things. But we are going to be on page 50 in your March journal for our rosebud thorn reflection, which I always feel like is a great way to look back on the week, whether it is good, bad, or everything in between. There is something special just being able to, with power of pen to paper, put it out there, put it out into the universe, and you can either carry it with you or you can just let it go. It can be the I'm going to learn from this, I want to build some momentum from this, or the do not let the door hit you on the way out type of weeks. But I still think there's something special about being able to acknowledge those things that you were really happy about, really excited about, get excited for some of those other things, but then also acknowledging maybe the lower points in that particular week, and just being able to again acknowledge. I think it is immensely powerful. And then what you then decide for that next step is absolutely, again, what do you need that week? Do you need to take it with you? Do you just need to leave it? So the rose is going to be a highlight, something that went well, something that made you happy, made you smile, that kind of daily win, that type of thing, something that stands out there. For me, my amazing drama friends, I've got like a closer core group of like 4 people, and we do a lot of stuff together, but we expanded. We had like 10 people from my drama class and we all decided to go see Death of a Salesman, which to me, I always chuckle because I feel like that's Americana staple. So to see it done over here in Scotland is always a little tricky, and everyone gets and wants my opinion on accents, but this was a fantastic show. I have always found it a really, really interesting, just it's a great play. It's fantastic. It's powerful. I always think of Dustin Hoffman or Brian Dennehy in these roles, and the guy that was the lead. It was fantastic, and it was a great night at the theater for all of us. We did drinks, we did dinner beforehand. So, just again, I found my people over here getting the stride and going to the theater. Who doesn't love that? The emerging opportunity is something that you're looking forward to, something that you're excited about, or maybe something that is on the horizon that you haven't quite figured out what to do with it yet. It could either be kind of cultivated into a rose, or maybe it's the brace for the thorns that are coming. Maleficent and her crow are coming at you. So you got to be prepared for those potential thorns. For me, the bud, my parents have been traveling a bit, and I love that for them in their retirement life. I think it's great that they're out and about, but I missed being able to talk to them. I talk to my parents every day. I talk to at least one of them every day for sure. So it was really, really nice. I sat and had probably about an hour conversation with my dad catching up, and I think my dad's hilarious. And so it was just nice to have them back. They're going to be back in town for quite a while. And so there's just that reassuring thing of like, well, now I got someone to chat to who calls me out on my shenanigans, but also thinks I'm funny. And they make fun of me that I think I'm funny. So it's just that, the humbling element that I love. So I'm excited to kind of have them back. And then the thorn is maybe something that was a challenge, didn't go as well, maybe something a little bit negative, the roadblock, that type of thing. For me, my wrist has been bothering me. I've got early onset arthritis in my wrist and my hands and a couple other spots. One hereditary, and then my autoimmune condition kind of exposes me to more. So I'm just in that like sore, stiff phase. Luckily, it is my left hand, and I'm right hand dominant, but it's definitely to the point of distraction. And I always get a little nervous when that happens because you never know, is that now the new normal, or is that just merely a temporary thing? But I would love to hear your rosebud thorns if you want to share them in the chat. I would say, but definitely take this opportunity to sit and reflect on your previous weeks, whether you actually write it down in the journal on page 50 or whether you just kind of sit and acknowledge that, mentally. Take that moment, take that deep breath, take that moment of reflection, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I always like reading everyone's rosebud thorns. I think Bailey was the one that said it best, because we all show up to these socials, and because a lot of us have been doing kind of the same dates and times with the socials, we get genuinely invested in each other's lives. So it also for me is just a fun little like kind of check up with each and every one of you. Because again, we get so invested in what everybody is doing and what they're being updated on, but always wanting to celebrate those wins with everyone. But I feel like we're at a little bit of a season where there's just been a lot of loss in our Sonder fam recently, and it never gets easier. It never gets there is no right way to grieve. It's just something that happens. But remember, there are no expiration dates on those. It is a journey, it is a process. You're going to have good days, you're going to have not good days, and it's all part of it. But just take comfort in the fact that there is people here that are cheering you on in whatever capacity you want to do so. And the fact that we can all come together at each of these, I think is really, it's really great. That's what makes this social so much fun. But again, please continue continue to share those rosebud thorns in the chat if you want to, but we're going to move on to the next section. So the pages that we're working on, we're going to be working on 52 and 53 in your March journal. And again, I always frame it this way. So again, I'm probably going to sound a little bit of a broken record, but the best way to, I think, start each of these socials when it comes to the weekly setup pages is asking yourself, what do you need this week? Because what you need is going to change from week to week. What you need is going to change on, what do you have planned this week? What is scheduled this week? What was your last week like? And so there is no right or wrong way to set up these pages. There is no right or wrong way to journal. There is no expiration date on these. No one is looking over your shoulder to see how much you have done. That's not how this works. So sometimes the week that you have coming up, you want to do everything exactly as written in the journal. You don't want to connect any of those sections. You just say, this is my goals. These are my to-dos. These are my hobbies. This is my meal plan. This is what I'm doing. And then other weeks you may need to really kind of knit it all together because you just need that extra support to kind of accomplish what you want to get done for that week. And then there are going to be other weeks where you're like, I'm tired. I'm not motivated. I just need to sit and sort out what's going on in my head. And maybe you leave it blank. And that is perfectly fine. It's always, again, asking yourself, what do you need? And then at the same time, just because what you need tonight may not be what you need on Thursday. So you can always do it again. You can rip it up. You can start over. We want to break up with perfection. I know I definitely want mine to look really great and really perfect. There have definitely been times where I was like, I don't need this page, and I have torn it out of the journal. So it's also giving yourself grace, but also letting yourself kind of have that freedom and flexibility to make those changes as you work through the week. So we're going to start at the top of page 52. And I always started as, this week, I want to feel. This is, how do I want to feel this time next week? This is my want song. This is my teeny tiny way to take control of my week and think that I can guide it in whatever way necessary, but fully aware that there's going to be roses, there's going to be buds, and there's going to be thorns that are going to pop up through this week. But this is a way for me to come back to that kind of end goal, that end game, that motivational mantra. And so for this, oh, and if you don't have your journal, don't worry. You can write all these down on a regular piece of paper. You can open out that notes app. It's just more of kind of structuring all these things. And we'll provide examples of what they look like so you can kind of play along. So we're glad you're doing that as well. So for maybe how you want to feel this time next week, sometimes it is you want to feel 1% better, 5% healthier, happier. Maybe it is tapping into that word of the year, that word of the month. You don't have to repurpose. You don't have to come up with a new word each week. I am one of those big advocates of, if you were able to kind of pull some momentum from it and it's something that continues to resonate with you, copy, paste, do it again, and add in all these other places. But maybe it is a little bit of less something, more something. And I know I saw Gloria for sure in the chat. I pulled her example of she wants to be a ray of sunshine. So I loved that. Again, incorporate the doodles, incorporate the stickers. What is going to be that motivating thing that is going to be your opportunity to say, this is what I want my week to look like. Here's where my inspiration is going to be, and go from there. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are already a little ahead of me, but I am going to turn on a quick little song and put in there how you want to feel this time next week, and we'll see you. Thank you, everybody sharing. I love the again intentional optimism that this concert will help with. And at the same time, if you are a little stuck, I take a little bit of a page out of Bailey's notebook in the fact that just because we start with this section, maybe it is better suited to kind of work through the rest of the pages and come back with maybe the way you want to feel is more of a summation of what goals and to-dos you have. So I know Bailey has mentioned in the past that she will do this section actually last as kind of that overarching, this is maybe my theme of the week. So you can turn it into the I want of the week, or it can be your theme for the week. And so maybe that can kind of add a little bit of that inspiration to kind of help with this particular section. So again, we are still going to be on page 52, but I am going to combine these two sections with the weekly major three goals and the weekly to-dos, just because they do go quite hand in hand. I even know me in particular, I will work these kind of in tandem, because for me, the weekly major three goals are going to be those mental and emotional reminders that I need to give myself to feel the way I want to feel this time next week, while overlaying those action items, the to-do things that I need to get done, again, while reminding myself to do all of those things. And so one of those ways to break it up is maybe, again, categories. Categories are great. I think they're great. So maybe you have a professional mind or a body. We love the alliteration. So maybe you have some creative goals, something that's a capable goal, and something that is a carefree or a caring, those type of things. Maybe again, it is those reminders. Maybe you're like, Katie, I don't want to focus on goals right now. I got a bigger goal that I don't want to break it down into smaller pieces. I just want to ignite my vitality with the movies, the shows, the books, and those creative projects, finding that inspiration and finding opportunities to say yes to. Maybe you actually have three goals for a single day. So you have an early morning goal, a midday goal, and an evening goal. And then again, maybe it's a summation. I love this sticker. That was from Quinn, who's been one of our regular socialers. And so she actually framed it as one goal. She wants to plan to go back to school. So her to-do list are three different things that kind of support that one single goal. So just because we listed as three doesn't mean you have to have three. Maybe you want six goals, two goals, maybe it's one goal, maybe it's no goals. And then again, that alliteration. And then I came up with it off the cuff yesterday, but I still am going to run with it. I said I wouldn't, but the bottom example I really like because it incorporates the three goals, the categories. So we've got mind, body, and soul. Embrace was one of the kind of themes. So they wanted to embrace more of these things. And then they tied that directly to their to-do list. So those are the three particular items that they want to do to support those three goals and those three categories. And they put it in a bingo board format, which I call basically a Triducan of Silk and Sonder, because you've got a bingo board, you've got goals, you've got the to-do list, all as one. And so they all fit together kind of in that capacity. So that's again another way to kind of knit those two sections together. And then again, maybe you want to stop some of these goals. Maybe you want to do one of these. And again, that learn, leap into, let go, just another way of categorizing these type of things. And then maybe you want to completely swap them. Maybe your weekly to-dos do better with lines and the goals do better in that sticker framing fine. And maybe you really just want to work on those affirmations. The weekly to-dos. I am pretty sure that social media is coming for me because I came across this quote today with the may all your to-dos turn into to-dos. And I was like, I feel seen because you can do a to-do list or you can do a to-do list. Either way, the to-dos and the to-dos are to done. It's just whether or not you celebrate it along the way. So I am definitely a to-do fan. Again, I like the self-celebration. But what I have found really, really helpful more recently when I have a bunch of random stuff on my to-do list is the Eisenhower matrix, which again is just a way to categorize and sort your to-do list. And that is the do, decide, delegate, or delete. In my particular case, I live alone, so delegation can be tricky, but that has been my priority this year to embrace more of how can I delegate things. So I have utilized the maintenance folks way more than I would normally do. I just got tired of trying to source tools and parts and all those things. So I had to come to the slightly less independent woman in me and say someone else has got to do it. Same thing with, I think I talked to y'all last week about it, but I finally hired a maid service that's going to come once a month. And y'all, greatest thing that I have ever done, but I'm still feeling a little guilty about it. But I have never had such cleaning product envy than I did with these amazing, amazing humans. So I am so glad I did it. I am not going to regret it. I am super fantastic, but I will continue to, it'll continue to nag at me in that way, even though I know it is the best thing to be done. And then I never delete anything. I just delay it because if it's on a to-do list, I got to do it. It's just when I'm going to do it. And then some people have it broken down again into those categories. So they've got self to-dos, home to-dos, work to-dos. Again, those bingos are there. I love the treasure myself. So maybe you don't have too many to-dos. Maybe that is your one single to-do that you want to accomplish this week. Maybe it is a sticker. Maybe you're breaking it down into here are the things I need to do. Here are the things I want to do. Maybe it's a don't do this instead. Helping your future self out a little bit. And I also like the idea of breaking it down into your work to-dos, personal to-dos on the needs again and the want scale. Or maybe you had a little bit of a rough week and you're just feeling all the negativity. So maybe you just want to focus on those weekly wins. Maybe you need to remind yourself more in that to be category, or maybe more of the not to do list. So I am going to give you guys ample time to work on this section, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Love seeing how all of you approach your to-dos, but also that kind of very, very powerful action of delegation. It's definitely one of those things I feel like usually only you predominantly hear it in a work setting, and I always appreciate that, delegation is It is an art form. And I think it again, because part of it is it just becomes so attached to the mental side of things that I was like, I know the obvious answer. Everyone had told me, yes, do it, but it was still just that mental wrestling you have to do. And I think that is really the tricky part with delegation. And so you got to practice it. You really do. And you're only going to get more comfortable with it the more you practice with it. So thank you everybody for sharing. We are still on page 52 in your March journal, and we're working on our habits and activities, or the habities. And I came across this snail girl spring, which I know a little cliche with the like theme, but I am gonna embrace snail girl spring this particular next couple months. It's my vibe. Eat your veggies, spend time with yourself, hydrate, and take your time. So this moving forward, all of my habities are going to be snail girl spring. And so the way you can incorporate your habits and activities, I am a creature of habit. I use my monthly habit tracker for the things that I want to do every day, and then I will pull those things over into my weekly habit and add the lens of reality. So this is what can I realistically accomplish, or what type of time can I set aside for those habits that I want to do. So my same three habits, I want to move every day, I want to read every day, and I want to journal. And now I've almost to the point, I don't know if I consider them like habits and activities I'm tracking, because those are just now inherently what I do during my day. It is, how do I incorporate movement? Is it a set workout, or is it just the walking to and fro to the errands that I need to run? Reading, it is taking that break. I have paused whatever I've been watching, or pause scrolling. I've been really into reading recently. I mean, I'm always reading something, but I've just hit all of the strides with that. And then same thing with journaling. Set aside, it can it be 5 minutes? Can it be 30 minutes? Can it be the social that I'm attending? So this counts as my journal habit for the day. And luckily I had back-to-back days to do it. And so you can already, like I said, this is an opportunity to maybe celebrate some of those things that you're already doing in your day to day. And you can either add goals or you can keep it separate. And this is where I think that really powerful thing of asking yourself, what do you need this week? Do you need your week to be very structured and incorporate all of these habits and activities? Or do you need your week to include a little bit more rest and refresh, where you only have maybe three of the 5 lines? Maybe it's just one or two. Or maybe you're on vacation, or you want to have, or you have friends, family coming to visit, and you just want to be more present. So you don't want to track any of these habits and activities. I love the setup that you can have weekday habits and activities, which may look a little different than your weekends. And this 5 days to schedule every month is now going to be a staple for all of my socials. I thought it was just a really, really great summary of the things you need to incorporate. I am a big fan of spontaneity, but I also like kind of strategic spontaneity. So I love the idea of taking, again, my same three habits and activities and then adding a fourth, something for fun. So it's incorporating maybe a self-care moment, a reset, a learning, or even just a fun day. And that fun day can be every sort of interpretation. My habit and activity that I've added is look for the sun. And so that's where I've got, because of the time change, I have this great, really big window. So now I read sitting on my couch where the sunbeam is now, because it hasn't been there in my snail girl summer, finding the sun, or it's getting outside when I see the sun come out and walking onto that. So my now fourth habit this week is find the sun. And again, you all know my love of iconography. So I love the visuals that all of these do, but I also liked the idea of the tiny ways to slow down when your life feels extra busy. I had kind of a busy week, and I have a couple other busy weeks coming. So it was, again, adding those kind of incorporating things that maybe you're already doing, but acknowledging them as habits and activities. And same thing with if you need some of that self-care reminders. And then again, the first day of spring was on Wednesday. So start including some of those maybe spring things. For me, spring officially arrives when it's kind of a nice enough day that I can open all my windows. That is when I celebrate it. And for me, that is such an accomplishment, when it's like my whole day is around the fact that I was able to open my windows and keep them open all day. Just that type of, it may do nothing, but it's that, just like, I feel like it's that connection that I always make with, I open my windows and I always remember what was the first day of the year that I was able to open my windows and keep them open all day. And then again, the idea of incorporating the countdowns, I thought these were really fun as a way to incorporate. So let me know what habits and activities you all are working on, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. So now we are going to flip over to page 53, and I am going to lump this entire page together because this is one of our pages that is definitely predominantly repurposed. Again, everybody can do it their own way. This is just what a large group do. And I refer to this as the B side. So it's a record. I definitely diligently do the page that we just did every single week. The B side for me is absolutely optional. And part of it is I just was kind of not really connecting with all of the sections, but there are some real gems in here when you really need them. And I think it's really awesome. So the meal plan can be used exactly as written as a planned meal plan, or you can use it in real time if you're tracking particular symptoms or you're on some healthcare journey that would require you to track what you're intaking and all those things. But you can also use it to highlight one of those one good things every day. Shout out your rose for the day. I like the daily doodles. I like that this is kind of transformed a little bit into the meal plan for the soul. So maybe this is where your prompts live, or your reflections, or your daily rituals, those type of things. Maybe it is the priorities. It is the affirmations. You all are amazingly creative and create haikus. Like I said, I have used it as a clothing plan before. One, because I work from home, don't want to get caught wearing the same thing within the same week. And I've also used it when I travel. I have some work travel coming up, so I always get excited to then use the meal plan for that so that I don't overpack. And then maybe you can then tie into your mind body health plan to support that, or you can do it completely separately. Again, those alliterations come back. Maybe you want to move your body, tune out the noise, walk on water Wednesday, seize the weekend Saturday. And Nathania's here. Shout out to her with the T chart at the bottom left. I love it. It's the this is what I feel, and so this is what I need. It is one of the best reflections, and you can ask yourself this any time of day. Jot it down on a post-it note, and it's your, again, taking control of your day, asking yourself. It's that really, really valuable mental check-in, and then pivot from it. And then the one on the right, as we've kind of loosely been mentioning in the chat, the digital option, all of you can do the digital option. Just email hello@silkandsonder.com to try our digital version, because the one on the right, they've completely covered up the shopping list and the mind body health plan, and then add in their cute little digital versions for the mind body health plan. So you have a little bit control over just the format of that. And to be fair, I probably did say walk on water. Talk too fast and we just breeze over it. But that's something that everybody can look into. Maybe you are looking, yes, India, you can do both. Just email hello@silkandsonder, because we're still in the trial mode for that. You can try out a bunch of different apps. We haven't made that recommendation yet either. So certainly worth trying it if you want to take a look at it. And then I also brought in some of these. I feel like this is another one of those when I feel, and then the reminders. So I've been really, really into a mental check-in with myself each day, just because I feel like I've been in a little bit of a weird mental health space, and I definitely feel like I've been superficially trying to support it. And so a little bit more powerful dare to, again, take a little bit more of that extra, especially when it comes to journaling. And then you've got the shopping list, which can go hand in hand with that meal planner. Or you can put your bingo board here, your theme bingo, name the theme. You can make it a bingo board. Maybe it's a spring one, maybe it's a spring break one. Maybe again, your social check-ins, that's maybe again how we can spread some of that vitality. And then maybe it is a word where you put your wardrobes. Someone had asked about the glimmers. It looks like we had that covered, but you can incorporate a glimmer bingo. And then if you do get the sticker pack, those bingos are already kind of built into those stickers, so you can use it as well. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Let me know if you have a particular side you want to see. We're going to play one more song, and then we will move to the close. We'll see you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Got a little distracted with the chat and didn't quite go through the slides, but no worries. Can you believe we have reached the end? Because that very last section on page 53 is your opportunity to, again, come full circle, embrace what is something that you're loving. Yes, I'll go back to the slides for sure. All of those good things. And so these are kind of the things that I was loving. And like I said, really, I've been into playlists. I found some really fun mashups on the instrumental side of pop songs played with a quartet, which always makes me happy. And then I finished up a couple series that I'm just a huge fan of, and so I love getting absorbed back into those worlds, almost to the point of detrimental, maybe distraction. But would love to see in the chat if you want to share what are some of the things that you are currently loving. But as always, we would love to continue the conversation in the Silk and Sonder app. You guys provide such amazing examples and inspiration. So if you wish to share your pages, we would love to see them there. As Bailey and I were kind of throwing randomly through the chat, we do still have our 24/7 AI coach, Jenny, who is fantastic. You can utilize her. And then definitely reach out to hello@silkandsonder.com if you have any questions around payment and how it works and all those things. Same thing with the digital copy. We do provide those PDFs, and there are adaptable to a bunch of different apps. So if you want to try it, do it. Highly recommend it. Again, email hello@silkandsonder to work on that. This is a screenshot of the playlist that I just played, but I will include the Spotify link in the chat. As always, thoroughly enjoy having each and every one of you here. It is so wonderful to spend Sunday evening with all of you. You guys are going to have an amazing rest of your day. You guys are going to have an amazing week. We hope to see you at another event. But until then, embrace your spark, your unique qualities. Find that sparkle, find that glitter, embrace it all, and embrace the vitality as we finish up March. And we will see you again soon. Have a great night. Bye.
Sing out in a hurricane. We'll whistle in the winds of change. Get our dancing shoes when storm clouds start to gather. 'Cause love we know is the only thing that matters now. So let's dance in the rain. Feel our hearts fill up again. These storms may come and go, but love always remains. So let's dance, dance, dance in the rain. We'll stay cool when the fire burns. When night comes, we'll be fireworks. When the winds are howling, we'll float like a feather. And time will run, but we will stay forever young. So let's dance in the rain. Feel our hearts fill up again. These storms may come and go, but love always remains. So let's dance, dance, dance in the rain. Now we can feel it. This is the reason.